Let us take a moment to appreciate that a future Hall of Famer, Mr. What's his nickname again?
Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited.
Is going to call MetLife Stadium his home. So let me be one of the many IFOs to congratulate Giant fans and congratulate you, Tiki Barber.
Now you are straight up mocking. Not even pretending to hide it.
What?
For a second, I was like, are we actually going to talk baseball to start this show today?
No.
There's no way that's happening.
Hey, congratulations on Russell Wilson. I know you're really excited.
Do not congratulate me on this at all.
Are you excited,
I think this is going to be one of the most interesting quarterback rooms in the history of quarterback rooms. Because both of these guys, really all three of them, when you think about it, with Tommy DeVito and Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, the personalities are just massive. Now, it almost might be crazy enough to work type of thing, because that's the only way I can think positively about this. Because we know how Russ is. He is highly motivated. He's very religious focused, but he tries to give you this steel demeanor as this leader and give these motivational speeches.
Let's ride.
And then we know how Jameis Winston is. Jameis Winston, also very religious, talks about his faith all the time and delivering them from INTs, but also he's clownish in some ways. And I think it's on purpose. I think he's trying to bring levity. Now, those two dynamics, do they work well together? I don't know. And then you throw in Tommy DeVito, who is the people's champion. Like, everybody loves Tommy DeVito. I don't care if you are the superstar player or you're just the dude that's trying to make the squad, or Jose, the maintenance man, right? You have no idea how engaging Tommy DeVito is. And now all three of those guys are going to be in a room with Shea Tierney and Brian Dable. It's going to be Mike Kafka. This is going to be so insane that I don't know what to expect, because I've never seen anything like this before. And am I optimistic? Not really. But I think Russell Wilson's washed. I think I am so anticipatory of what's going to happen. I have to see this.
I think that
I wish it was Hard Knocks last year.
I agree.
And it sucks that it's not this year.
The quarterback room in itself is fascinating. We've had a lot of fun over the last few weeks listening to things Jameis Winston has said, things that Russell Wilson has said. And yeah, I'm having a good time and I'm laughing because this is soap opera-like. It's fascinating. But I also think what the Giants are doing is actually really smart. And I'll tell you why. If you remember back in 2018 when the New York Jets clearly needed to draft a quarterback, it was obvious to all. In fact, they went into the previous season tanking, if you will.
Yes.
And the tanking didn't work. They got off to a good start. They won too many games. They ended up picking 6th in the NFL draft. The approach that offseason was, let's get some vets in the room. We're going to bring back Luke McCown. We're going to bring in Teddy Bridgewater. And we'll see what happens at the NFL draft. And what ended up happening at the NFL draft is the Jets traded from 6 to 3.
Yep.
Sam Darnold was sitting there. They drafted Sam Darnold. And Teddy Bridgewater, acquired by the Jets, never played for the Jets.
Yeah.
He was traded away. What the Giants are doing, in my estimation, is they're giving themselves an insurance policy.
Yeah.
They brought in a capable veteran backup who's still relatively young in Jameis Winston, who I mentioned to you last week or earlier this week. You could certainly mold into something. They bring in a veteran in Russell Wilson who gives you at least a decent chance to win some games. But come the NFL draft, you can mark my words on this. They are going to bring in a young quarterback into that room.
Yeah.
And if Shedeur Sanders is there at 3, the guy in the room is going to be Shedeur Sanders. And you want to talk about an interesting quarterback room? You mentioned Jameis Winston. You mentioned Russell Wilson. You mentioned Tommy DeVito. Let's throw in the blue chip prospect who happens to be the son of a Hall of Fame great.
Right.
So I think the Giants are protecting themselves from all corners, but they're still going to be aggressive in finding their future.
Here's why it works. And to your point about finding their future, the quarterback room accounts for about $16 million. Think about that number.
That's not a lot.
Think about all the quarterback rooms in all of the NFL. They are 20, 40, 60, 70, some of them, with all of the players that they have. The Giants have $16 million in 2025 committed to their quarterback room. 10.5 guaranteed for Russ. Could go up to 21, but that's neither here nor there. Still, even if it was, it would only be 20-something million dollars. Jameis is at 4. Tommy DeVito is a little over 1 with that restricted rights free agency deal that he signed. So when you draft a young kid, if he's in the top 10, it's only going to go up $5 or $6 million more. Right? Their quarterback room is full of options, but also really cheap.
Yes.
And it's one of the ways that we've talked about over the last couple of years, how teams build the depth of their organization. It's by having cheap quarterbacks. And mostly it's with rookies, but cheap. You have 2 vets, Tommy DeVito and a rookie, and it's still cheap.
Yeah.
Like it's almost crazy enough to work, is what I said when I was first talking about this, and that's the reason why. It's because you have options. You're not stuck. You're not, oh man, we just drafted Zach Wilson. With nobody else, I guess we got to play Zach Wilson.
Well, that's it. You just hit on it. That is the biggest thing. See, as an IFO, I learn from my mistakes. I learn from the teams I watch and the teams I root for. I happen to root for a lot of crappy teams. One of the biggest mistakes the Jets made, I'm not even talking about 2018 anymore, though I do think that similarity works. I want to talk about 2 years ago. They brought in Aaron Rodgers with the plan of Zach Wilson's going to learn.
Yeah.
And then guess what happened? Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and the Jets were forced to have to start Zach Wilson immediately.
Again.
Same old Jets.
Right away, he had to play again. What the Giants have done, here's where I have to give them credit. And I know there's a lot of Giant fans that are not happy today. That's fine. We'll hear from you. 888-808-1019. But here's why I think what you're doing is very smart. If this is what Joe Schoen is doing, and I assume it is. You're going to draft someone, I have said since January, I'll say it on March 26th, you will end up with Shedeur Sanders. I believe it in my bones. I believe it will happen. You will draft him.
Unless Tennessee pulls an okie doke and drafts Shedeur Sanders.
Maybe.
And then you'll end up with Cam Ward.
Not bad either, by the way.
Unless Detroit trades with Dallas for Dak Prescott and Dallas takes whoever the second quarterback is. That's just a rumor coming out of
Well, that's
Cleveland
craziness. Either way, I think you end up with Shedeur Sanders at 3. You should start Shedeur Sanders when you're ready to start Shedeur Sanders. By bringing in Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, you basically tell him you're going to hold a clipboard, you're a third-string quarterback, and even if there is catastrophic injury, because as we know, injuries happen in the NFL, you've protected yourself from letting NFL injuries decide when you start your young quarterback. You decide when you start your young quarterback.
Yeah, no, it's a great point.
And that's why if that's what they're doing, okay, and that's what I'd be doing as an IFO, because you need to find your future. You also want to win some games, and you don't want to rush them. That's exactly what makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think if you view it that way, you'd say, okay, this isn't the craziest thing ever.
I'm okay with it. Now, you're worried because it could become chaos, right?
What would make it chaos?
Just the personalities. Just the Russ talking crazy.
You got to be unlimited.
Not that it matters in the locker room, but it just becomes crazy. And Jameis saying all the things that he says. It's not that it's bad. It just becomes crazy.
That's a W.
It just becomes distracting. Like all of that stuff. That's the only thing you worry about. From a football standpoint, though, this is exactly what I think Dabo's tried to do in 2022 when he won Coach of the Year. Bring competition. Make it about competition. Remember that mantra or that MO of that team early? It was, you have to earn your time on the field.
Right.
You are not being given your spot. I don't care who you are or how many starts you have in your career under your belt. You have to earn it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're simply not playing.
Yes.
Period.
And that should apply to everybody. Like, you brought this example up a couple of days ago. It involves Russell Wilson, even though it's not about modern Russell Wilson. And that is when the Seattle Seahawks drafted Russell Wilson, their plan was not to start him.
No, of course
Their plan was Matt Flynn, who they had just signed as a free agent, was going to start. But Russ was so damn impressive. He won the job. So I'll walk you through a scenario. And again, everything changes if they don't draft a quarterback. But they are. I'm confident of it. Like, nothing's changed despite signing Russell Wilson. They draft Shedeur Sanders at 3, as I expect them to do, and Shedeur blows everybody away. And Brian Daboll's like, holy crap, I'm not waiting.
Yeah.
I want to play this guy right away. It's possible that even after paying Russell Wilson the money you paid him, he never plays. Now, I don't think that's the likeliest scenario. I think the likeliest scenario is Shedeur Sanders learns, and he waits. And eventually, at some point this season, maybe it mirrors 2004, the year you experienced. Maybe it's very different. Eventually, he plays. Or, dare I say, Russell Wilson rekindles his Hall of Fame resume from years ago. The Giants are winning games. They're shocking the world. And Shedeur never plays this season. But that's how I view what the Giants are doing. Now, if the Giants don't draft a young quarterback, and literally their quarterback room is Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito, then I got a problem.
Yeah.
Then this puzzle doesn't make sense.
Yeah, a month from now, we might be upset.
Yes.
But right now, we have to consider this as part of the plan. Because when this first happened, your initial reaction is, okay, then what happens? I thought Jameis was going to start this season. Now it's probably Russell's going to start this season. But they're all one-year deals and likely out of here, even though Jameis signed a 2-year deal. It's easily removable, right? What the hell is the plan? And so my thought is, if there is no plan and you're just throwing stuff at the wall and hope that one of these veterans sticks, that is not a plan.
No, I agree.
And so
that is not a plan.
The only plan that I can see going forward, and this is after I thought about it, was, man, this is crazy. But if they draft a quarterback and try to develop him behind 2 veterans, you don't have to play him right away. Who cares what the distraction is, as long as you have a veteran who can help you win right now and a young quarterback who is your future. That's a plan.
That's the plan.
Now, if there is no future quarterback, then this is a disaster.
Bingo. That's what this is all about. So when they signed Jameis Winston and Sean Morash had his meltdown, we reminded him this is a puzzle piece. Unfortunately, we don't know how the puzzle ends, right? We're all predicting. We're all giving our opinions on how the puzzle should look, but it's a puzzle piece. There was a scenario where Jameis Winston was signed on Friday and ended up being the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. We talked about that possibility on the puzzle piece. Now they add Russell Wilson. And to me, the only thing that makes sense is drafting a young quarterback and putting yourself in a position where you don't play that kid until you deem him ready. And by having 2 veterans like Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, you protect yourself that you're never going to be forced to have to play that guy before he's ready. And that's where the Jets screwed up. And that's where, if the Giants are thinking the way I'm thinking, they're getting this right. Now, I know there's a lot of Giant fans today who are like, screw you, Evan, you're wrong. Russell Wilson sucks. This is a joke. I want everybody fired. You may end up being right if they don't go out and aggressively find their future quarterback. Because if they're running this out to start the year and their game plan is, it's our quarterback room, let's go, we're going to win some games, then I think you're building a road to nowhere. Because you're not going to win enough games, the coach is going to be fired, and we're going to be breaking this whole thing down a year from now. But I have to believe that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll know this is their one chance to draft and develop a quarterback, something they haven't done since they walked through the door.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do, to your point, is draft a quarterback and then be forced to play him right away. It's some guys can do it. Some young kids have done it. And we saw it the last couple of years. Jaden Daniels with Commanders and obviously C.J. Stroud down in Houston. So we know that it's possible. And both of these guys, whether it's Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, have a good amount of college football. It's not like they're coming in like Sam Darnold with one season, playing college football essentially. And so they've played. And they have had success, and they threw for 4,000 yards and all those statistics you want to throw out there. But the NFL is a different game. It's a different mentality that you have to have, especially in New York. And the one thing with all of this that I worry about is that it's New York. If this was Cleveland, maybe it's not as crazy.
How does the Mr. Unlimited shtick work in New York City?
Mr. Unlimited.
I mean, you saw it already. The memes, the AI. Bad Tiki's coming up tomorrow, but the AI of some of this stuff is insanity.
Yes.
The mocking that's already happening. It better be successful. Otherwise, that mocking is justified, and it compounds it by a factor of 100.
Let's hear from the Giant fans. We'll talk to you coming up.
It's dangerously good.
888-808-1019. Plus, our very own Tommy Lugauer was on the air arguing about the Yankees and the Mets being big brother as the news broke. We'll take a listen to how the news was broke on the Lugauer last night. And, of course, we'll talk to you at 888-808-1019. We're live from the Town Fair Tire studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.